Hey guys, welcome to another exciting episode of The Stash Report from The Stash Project. It's Friday the 13th, 2015 in the November edition. And we have some kid announcements to talk about this week. A few things that already we knew were coming, but we've got some, I guess, refresher photos to progress photos, you want to call them that, from a couple manufacturers. There's only one kid issue this week. Something normally we really wouldn't cover, but we're going to talk about quickly because there isn't anything else to talk about. Revell sort of saved our show, so to speak. We'll reserve judgment for how much we appreciate that, I guess, as we go through the program today. But like I said, we have some new kid announcements, some stuff to talk about here real quick. But all in all, it was a relatively quiet week. It'll be really hammering out the last couple weeks of the month here because all these kits need to come out. So let's talk about kit announcements outside of Revell, because we're going to save the most time for the Revell first quarter flyer. That's right. Stay tuned. We got the first quarter flyer to look at. If you haven't seen that online, I know you're probably itching to know what's coming out, but now you have to wait. All right, so real quick, to be announced on Friday, a couple of actual mid-November, which will probably be next week, reissues that officially come up for pre-order. And they are the JDM Mazda Unos Roadster. That would be the Japanese version of the MX-5 Miata. You may recall that when these kits were made back when the Miata came out, this is the first-gen Miata, not the new one that's coming out in December. They did a Mazda MX-5 Miata that was a U.S. export version, and they did the Unos Roadster, which is the Japanese specific one because Unos is the dealership chain, or was the dealership chain that Mazda sold those cars through. So this is only that kit, the JDM version, only has right-hand drive, but it is the kit that you need, so to speak, quote-unquote, if you want to have a hardtop for your Tamiya U.S. spec Miata. The U.S. spec Miata, the one that had left-hand drive, only came with a soft top. This kit, the Unos, only came with a hard top. Now, why those two things were never combined, who knows? Well, sales. You had to buy both. You wanted one thing. It's going to be about, I don't know, reissued for about like $14 or something like that. So it's not a bad price, but for me personally, I don't, $14 is a lot to pay for just a roof. I also have the Mazda Miata that Revell did. That's 1/25 scale in full detail. The Tamiya ones were, of course, 1/24 scale were curbsides. Also releasing in the big scale the 1/12 Williams FW 14B Renault. I believe that's just a straight up reissue. I don't think there's anything done to it to make it new. I think it's just they're just reissuing it as far as I can tell. And then from there we take a peek here. Make sure I don't need to go any further past December. In December, from Fujimi, there does not appear to be any kind of spot runs for the purely 1/24 scale automotive modeler. They are, of course, doing that, the Lotus Esprit. Oh, hobby cat crawl on my leg. Ouch, ouch, ouch. Can't cat. He's crawling. Oh, look, see, here's the kitty. Aw. So, this will be a fun video for the rest of the time. Just watch me be annoyed. The Spy Who Loved Me, the 007 submarine version of the Lotus Esprit from that movie. Of course, that's 1/24 scale, and it's nominally automotive, although you cannot, at this point in time, build it as a car. You can only build it as the boat or the submersible. The rest of Fujimi's reissue list for December is all 1/32 scale buses. Now, if that interests you, I suggest you go to Hobby Search. It's one of the two Japanese vendors that we use here. Their link is always scrolling in the credits at the very, very end of the videos. Because they can, show you box art and contents because they're just straight reissues of existing kits. I know that seems like an odd scale, but as we've talked about before, only the Mitsuwa tooled stuff that Fujimi has now is really the only 1/25 scale, or 1/24 scale, I should say, trucks out there. Japan's truck collecting market is in 1/32 scale. There's a lot of these buses around. There's a lot of the, hello. A lot of the trucks also in 1/32 scale. The Fujimi ones the Fujimi ones all are curbsides. Some of the Aoshima 132nd scale truck kits are, full detail. But, if you're into that kind of thing, you wanted to build a collection of 132nd scale trucks, Japanese ones, of course, then, of course, there's a robust market out there for you. Buy them through Japan. They'll be a lot cheaper than they are here in the United States. But, like I said, that's what's going on with Fujimi in December so far. They may announce something Monday, but chances are that the bus thing is going to be their December run. And that brings us around to the December kit announcements for round 2. Now, normally I don't do these until the review videos at the beginning of the month, because it's hard to tell what they're going to do in any given month, but they have been over the last 6 months or so, since they basically gave up actually updating the website itself, of keeping their vendor website fairly up to date. So I believe these to be accurate. On MPC, they're going to be reissuing the 1967 Dodge Charger in the Great Street Machines packaging. That's a 1970s era box art. These are apparently, I can't find mention of it anyway, of them being buildable as a stock vehicle. I believe they're only buildable as the Street Machine. They're listing the fact that they retooled the 5-spoke mags. They're going to be including pad-printed Polyglass GT F6015s for the front, and then cheater slicks for the back. That's why I'm saying, I'm sure you can build that. They're going to be able to build that kit stock. I never had any of the Street Machine kits. They're before my time, and they were not issued that way. The Dodge Charger's been out since I've been building, but it's not been in the Street Machine version per se. And I don't know if those parts are still in there. They don't tend to decontent stuff, especially round 2, but I don't know for sure. So, if you're looking for that, you may want to wait until we know for sure. Then they're going to be reproducing the 1970s decals, as well as including the 1970s box art. They're also for MPC is the Soapy Sales Dodge Challenger funny car. I don't know anything about this funny car. Don't do the drag stuff, so I believe, of course, it has to be a vintage kit of something. Now, I don't know if it's actually something that MPC has had in the past, or if they're borrowing something out of Polar Lights here, because I don't know my vintage Mopar drag cars well enough. But they are going to be including pad-printed drag slicks for that, the ability to have open or closed parachutes for your display, as well as expanded decals, and, of course, the vintage box art. On the AMT side of things, they're going to be reissuing the 1950 Ford convertible. That's going to be a 3-in-1, confirmed 3-in-1. They've backdated the tooling to apparently the second release of the Trophy Series kit. Might be late 60s maybe in there, maybe early 70s, but it's going to have retooled or refound, however they want to consider it, gasser front suspension. I guess that is something that has not been available in this kit since then. They're also keeping all of the stylized parts from all the reissues in there, so it's going to be a big box of parts. Expanded decals, and then they're going to be running it in their 1960 style, what they call silent box art, which is the stuff that has just a picture of the car in white on the box cover itself, and then all of the printing and everything's on the sides. The 32 Vicky came that way, the 37 Chevy came that way. I think there's a 67 Ford Dragster that came that way. In the box art, that on the box art itself says nothing. It's just a white blank box with a picture of a drawing of the kit on it. Also coming out in December, the Dioria Custom Pickup. They've retooled the bubble window bed cover as well as the roof panels that go with it. Otherwise, it'll be a straight reissue of the Dioria. You also optional smoke tinted windows, so there's to be 2 sets of window glass with it. Pad printed Firestones with pinstripes. They're expanding the decal with pre-cut, so to speak, wood grain decals. If you want to build the original show truck, as well as, of course, vintage box art. And I'm saving this last one, this one for last, because I know specifically out there's one person that's very, very interested in this kit. And then, of course, being the Flame Out Show Rod. I don't get it, but I know that people over at Show Rod Garage are really excited about this one. So you're going to have the option of the kits are all going to come molded in what they're calling Firebomb Red. And apparently they're also doing the old catch the cat routine with this one, which means one kit out of every case will be molded in what they're terming, and I'm not using air quotes, these are their quotes, 4-alarm translucent metallic red. All right. They're going to do pad printing on those gumball rear drag tires. They're expanding the decals. They're saying it's 2 times the size of the original decals. There's going to be a die-cut display base with a backdrop, as well as, of course, the, what Round 2 does, the vintage box art. So there's that to look forward to for your Christmas from the folks over at Round 2. Let's see here. We'll save the Revell stuff for last because there's only one kit issue here. So let's take a look real quick at some in-progress stuff from Heller. Obviously, bad night in Paris. That tips you off the fact I'm actually recording this after Friday. Yeah, bad night in Paris last night, so hoping everybody over there is all right. But this is some, I don't know if this is technically a tooling mock-up or if these are actually test shots, but this is sort of a partial assembly of the Citroën 2C van, or the 4C van, or whatever they call it. The corrugated bread box on wheels. As you can see here, this is going to be a full detail kit. It does have, much like a lot of the Heller kits of pretty much everything. I can't say of the past because they're still doing it currently. Having the inner door cards molded on the clear parts runner, essentially to mask the window and paint the surround basically. This is going to be a neat little kit. It's going to be buildable, I guess, in two different versions as far as like an early version and a late version. It's basically differences in like window glass and stuff like that. And then over here we have the Citroën Mahari, which was sort of the oldie time French version of the Hummer, so to speak. I mean, it was basically a French military vehicle that they decided to offer a civilian version of. Or perhaps it was done at the same time. I'm not quite sure. I'm not up on my Citroën Mahari history, but I do know that it was available both to civilians as well as the military. Hood's up here, so I'm assuming this will have full detail. I mean, it's running the same engine as the van and the 2CV and everything else the 2CV was based off of. But again, just a little preview shot. They're working on them. Probably won't get them out before the end of the year. Yeah, maybe they will, but certainly they're coming along. They're not just sort of put into some corner and we'll never hear from them again. People over there at Bell Kits. Now, we knew this kit was coming out. This, of course, the 1973 Ford Escort RS 1600 Mark I for the 1973 Daily Mirror Rally, the Timo Mäkinen kit. This is going to be more or less the official box art. I don't believe it's actually technically approved yet, but I believe this is what it's going to be. They obviously released these on Bell Kit's Facebook page. That's how I got a hold of them. Interesting here, you notice it says it has right and left-hand drive parts included, so you will be able to build this as a European Escort, not just one out of the UK for rally teams that are not based in the United Kingdom. But the reason I'm showing you this is because they're actually going to be releasing two of these at once. Here's the Roger Clark 1972 Daily Mirror Rally winner. Basically going to be the same kits, I believe. I don't believe there's any difference between a 1972 and a 1973 Escort. Maybe there is. We'll find out when the kits come out. But again, same thing. Both of them are going to have photo etch parts. Both of them are going to include the night racing parts, and both of them will include left and right-hand drive. Kind of looking forward to this one more than I want to admit to. Again, I'm not a big rally guy, and I'm not going to start collecting rally kits, but it's sort of an odd subject matter because it's never really been done. I mean, there's some old Ford Escort kits, but not particularly all that great. I know a lot of people wish these kits were not curbside and had engines, but they are Bell kits and they are rally cars, and that's sort of the way rally cars are. You very, very rare do you find a rally car kit that actually has an engine in it, out of any company that's ever done them. But the point I was going to try to make here before I was attacked by my hobby cat again was the fact that if you look at this picture, and the reason I'm leaving it up here is that the rear window, as obviously the windshield, are much taller in profile than the side windows are. Looking at the test shots of this, and this was just something that was pointed out to me the other day, and now I've seen the test shot and the real picture of the real car, and I can't stop noticing it. Is the fact that on the test shot, the windshield and rear windows are of the same height as the side windows. So basically, across the roof, the entire thing is a uniform height, and that is not correct because obviously, as you can see with fair functioning eyes, the windshield especially is much taller than the side windows. Now, they know it because they've been told. I've seen comments on their Facebook page and elsewhere that they've been told that this doesn't look right. So it'll be interesting to see what Bell Kits does because this is sort of their first foray into, I don't know so much doing something inaccurate, but all of the kits they've done so far have been current kits. They've been 2010 to now rally cars that they can get CAD data from the factory, or at least close support from the race teams to get measurements for. It's obviously a little bit harder when you go back in time like that, especially when you're in Belgium and these are English, UK built cars and stuff like that, to get an accurate, real accurate picture, so to speak, of what the car looked like. Or somebody effed up the transfer from CAD or from photos to CAD, because I don't believe they 3D scan their stuff. But at any rate, that being what it is, hopefully they'll fix that. It might be enough to keep me from buying it, just for the simple fact that I wasn't really planning to buy it, but the idea of it having left-hand drive just makes me chuckle at it, because obviously that Escort was never imported to the United States. But, making a street car out of it, throwing the left-hand drive in it and claiming it's American just for the S and Gs of it all, because that's what I'm going to do with that Subaru rally car right there. I don't really care for that livery, and I really don't care for rally cars in general. I have the Skoda and the Volkswagen just because they're neat kits. But that keep pointing the wrong way. There we go. But this Subaru, I'm thinking about just building to the street car, because it does come with treaded tires. And as you know anything about rally cars, it's the very little bit that I do know about rally cars, is that they have to be street legal so they can be driven between stages. So think about doing that with that. Now, we blathered on long enough, so here, folks, have your Revell first quarter flyer. Blow your screen up full size so you can see what I'm talking about here. There's only one new tool on this entire page, and it's probably not what you want, depending on how you look at models, I suppose. This is the first time that Revell is officially implementing their new skill divisions. You notice now that we have skills. One is not on here because skill level 1 is the build and plays, and there are no build and plays on the first quarter release chart. But notice we go from 1 to 5. They are not necessarily difficulty based as much as they are parts content based, and what they consider how long you're going to take to build it based. So over there on the left in the Snap-Tight Max thing, which is the new skill level 2, there's not really a whole lot of max going on to these guys. It is more like the fact that these are just the Wheels of Fire kits, and they've created a new intermediate or intermediate beginner level to the skill things to show that these are still simplified Snap-Tight kits, because 1, which is what the Snap-Tight kits were, of course, is now build and play. So skill level 2 is the Snap-Tights. These are like the Wheel of Fire kits. This is the the Ford Raptor, the real Ford Raptor, not the build and play, but the red one, the 2010 one, as well as the C7 Corvette Stingray kit that they did. In that line, so metal axles, but probably 40, 50 pieces. And this, of course, was the 2016 Ford GT. This is the new twin-turbo V6 powered, 600-plus horse out of that V6, though, so no slouching out of the lack of 2 cylinders. Ford is going to be building 200 of these for the street, and, of course, there's going to be race versions of it. I'm on the fence. Mainly, I probably will buy one of these eventually, just because I don't believe you're going to get a full detail glue kit or just even a curbside glue kit unless it's a race car. I don't believe you're going to get a street car glue kit full detail out of this thing at all. I think the Snap-Tight ways is sort of much like the Raptor, which is the reason I bought it. It's the only way you're going to get one is to get it this way, unless you want to go die cast. Over there, next to it, in skill level 3. Skill level 3 is sort of the new skill level as well. These are going to be strictly pre-paint. So anytime you see a skill level 3 from now on, guys, not going into the past, but from now on, going forward in 2016, skill level 3 will be pre-paints. These two are the first of the 6 kits that will be done with the new FUS licensing that they signed at the beginning of this year. These obviously are pre-paints. So they will come as they are shown here. You're going to get this green and black Challenger SRT8 and the I think that's a black, is that, or a really dark gray? But at any rate, you're gonna get the silver and black C7 2015 Corvette Stingray. That one actually I kind of like enough that maybe I would consider buying the pre-paint of that. Although that sort of limits you into building a shelf model. I guess it's a good, this slump buster nonsense. Slump buster, if you have enough kits, there is no such thing, because at some point you just need to pick a model out and build it. But if you're kind of got a low stash, well, yeah, I can see that. But you're not going to be able to enter a contest with that or anything. You're not going to impress your friends with your paint skills because, of course, the pre-paints that Revell and everybody does, they don't take the mold lines out before they paint them. So, you're kind of stuck with it the way it comes in that sense. I personally will be waiting on some sort of glue kit or, non-painted version of the Corvette. On to skill level 4, they're in the middle. Skill level 4 will be any glue kit with less than 125 parts. You see a 66 Chevrolet Fleetline, or Fleet Side, I guess I should say. I rehearse these videos in my head sometimes, and I said Fleetline in my head too. So, Fleet Side, this is just an extension or a minor modified retooling of the long ago, far away, because I don't think it's been reissued recently, 64 Chevy Fleetline. Fleet Side, wow, I said it again. And then, of course, it was done as a 65 Chevy step side that it had, some optional engine parts and some, modern wheels and tires to it. I don't believe you're going to get that. I believe this is just going to be a straight up stock version of the truck. Basically it's the 64 kit with some 66 trim and decals added to it. And it's probably the logical last extension of the tooling because beyond 66, it's a different style truck. Before 64, it's a different style truck. So, it is what it is. I know a lot of people probably would have rather seen a lot of different things, but it's probably the only thing on here other than the Ford GT I'll be purchasing. Beside it, these two abortions. I don't know what's going on here, folks. I really don't. I want to be into these kits because they're current cars, and I just went on a tangent about current cars. But what we have here is a failure to communicate. These things look like they're taking 3 tired trends, Pro Stock, Pro Touring, and Donks, and mixing them all into one awful, godforsaken package. I will say that if these kits are 2 things, one, full detail. Now listen up because I'll lay a little knowledge on you here. There's still, for December, a monogram box 2013 Corvette ZL1 on the vendor list. Now, whether or not that kit ever comes out, I guess we'll find out next month when Revell lists their kits that they're doing. But that's supposed to be the unpainted pre-paint kit, if you want to say. It's the pre-paint kit, just molded in white with real decals. These things are being priced at a regular Revell kit price. The non-painted pre-paint is $15.95 on the vendor list. These are $20. $20 is what a full price kit is called. $20 is what that Fleet Side pickup truck is going to sell for on the wholesale vendor side of things. Or not the wholesale vendor, the Tower Hobbies side of things, I guess I should say, because your hobby shop will never sell things for cheap as Tower will, ironically. But at any rate, because the wholesale on this stuff is like $13, but that's neither here nor there. The ZL1 and the Mustang, if they're full detail kits, basically if they take the chassis out of the 2010 Camaro SS and out of the, 2010 Ford Mustang or the 2013 Boss 302 Mustang and cram real chassis with real engines in them into these kits, and I can also get regular wheels and tires as an option, then I will buy one of each because a full detail glue Mustang and a full detail glue Camaro of these generations, because the 14 would be the only one with the 5.0 Coyote in it that isn't all turbocharged and blown and whatnot like the 302 is. Of course, it's not turbocharged and blown, but you know what I'm talking about. That would make a great engine donor, if nothing else, if it's more than the little 5-6 piece engine that came in the pre-paint. However, if these are just the pre-paint kits, unpainted, with goofy donk wheels, no Namo, low profile tires that probably came out of the California wheels set, and these, I don't know what cowl induction hoods, guys, I'm passing. I can't be part of this. I will not support Revell's nonsense, particularly with that Mustang, because that cowl induction hood looks ridiculous. I might be able to understand it if it was actually optioned as a drag car, if you were going to get drag slicks and a big supercharged motor that was going to take up all that cowl induction space. But no, I'm guaranteeing you right now it's just a 2014 Ford Mustang GT factory stock off the showroom floor car with a giant effing hood on it, which to me represents pretty much everything that's wrong with 1-1 car modifications, because this is what kids do. Ooh, I'm going to go buy a fiberglass hood. Now look how powerful my car is. Is it? So anyway, before I go and destroy my entire audience base, let's move on down to the bottom of the screen here. This is skill level 5. These are the now going to be glue kits with more than 125 parts. It is not, again, 4, 5, 3, well, actually 3, 4, 5. Not a statement of the difficulty involved, a statement of time involved. They consider there to be less time involved with the pre-paints because you don't have to paint the body or the windows. And, 4 and 5 is a differentiation in the number of parts involved, not how hard it is to make those parts into a model kit. Keep that in mind. I've already seen some people saying stupid shit on the internet, like the skill level 4 66 Chevy Fleet side obviously is going to have like 400 parts to it now because it's skill level 4. I don't believe there are 400 parts to a fucking 66 Chevy pickup truck in real life, let alone a model kit of one. And it's just apparently blowing people's minds because they can't understand how this works, even though this new skill level set has been information that Revell put out 6 months ago. But at any rate, skill level 5, you're going to get this is the Revell USA Rebox, guys. This is not the Revell of Germany one. You're taking your chances by buying anything that Revell makes that comes, Revell Germany makes that comes in a Revell USA box. I say this based on years of experience of having a whole plethora of warped to useless, almost, some of them are really useless, and I had to order parts for them. Warped to useless exotic cars. I bought 2 Audi R10s. Both of them had warped chassis. My Audi R8 has a warped chassis. My Ferrari 458 Italia has a warped chassis and a warped engine bay insert. Basically, when you take a Revell of Germany kit that comes in that big, long, narrow box that looks like a lot like an Asian kit box, and you cram it into one of the USA style boxes that is basically half of the volume, and you have to chop up the parts runners to get them to fit and all that nonsense, you end up with warps, and more warps, and damaged parts, collapsed roofs, broken door frames, all sorts of good shit like that. Pardon my French. And it's just, I avoid these at all costs, because here's the thing. This is going to have like a $24.95 price tag on it out the door from Tower this way. If you buy the Revell of Germany box, guess what, guys? It's $29.95. Is that $4 really saving you any money? Because I'm going to tell you right now, it's not. You're going to end up with something that's even worse than what you already had. If you get this kit and you're like, well, something's broke, you still have to wait for Revell of Germany to send you your parts. Revell of US does not get a parts, warehouse with these kits that they can then quickly send parts out for. You still got to wait 2 weeks to get your parts anyway, so you might as well buy the kit with the least chance of it being damaged in transit and in packaging. And just, I say the $5 was well spent, because none of my Revell of Germany kits that I've bought, knock on wood, for the last 3 years have been warped. But I know a lot of people who have had a lot of issues with hoods and chassis plates and things like that, where they've gotten warped stuff, they've called Revell up, hey, send me a new thing, and then the thing they get is just as broken as the thing that they already got, because it has to be sent, back again from Germany. You're not getting it from Germany directly. It has to be sent to Illinois, and then Illinois has to send it to you after they sit on it and ruin it. So just, I know a lot of people will buy it because it's cheaper and good. That exposes people that normally wouldn't build exotic cars to exotic cars. So, thumbs up there. But it's for me personally, it's not worth the aggravation. Next to it, you got the 1967 Camaro in the Nicky Chevrolet package. Now, Nicky Chevrolet was because it technically doesn't exist anymore, but Nicky Chevrolet at the time was a dealership up in Chicago, much like Yenko and Baldwin Motion, that ripped poor innocent cars apart and crammed large engines into them. So this is going to have a big block 427 in it. I'm not sure what quite stage that makes that, because Nicky sold their cars in stages the way Baldwin Motion did, 1, 2, and 3. You're going to get the new grille here that has the hidden headlights. You're going to get the new Stinger hood. That's what the hood with the sort of induction with the little tail sticking out of it towards the front is called a Stinger hood. Probably going to get new wheels with this, because I don't think they're going to run the same wheels in this kit as I did the original 67. And then there'll be some new decals because the Nicky badging is nothing like the Yenko or the Baldwin Motion, where it's a lot of stripes and advertising. It's very, very subtle. The engine itself, of course, will not be a new engine. It'll just be the 427 out of the 69 Camaro or the 427 396 that came out of the Chevy Novas. So it's an engine insert, new wheels, new grille, new hood, and I believe that's it. I don't think there's anything different with the interior. I want to really like these 67 Camaros, guys. I really do. This hidden headlight thing takes away all the problems with the original kit's wacky, goofy grille. But the back ends is still not correct. If you really take a close look at these kits versus a real Camaro, the back end does all sorts of things in the kit that the real car doesn't, and bends in ways that the real car doesn't, and it's why I have as of yet, not bought one of these 67s. And probably going to pass on it again because there's no way they fix the body because that's not what Revell does. Lastly, real quick, the SSP version of the, I guess they're calling it the Lafayette 6x6 there that has, I believe that's a Nike missile launcher. Yes, maybe some of the IPMS guys that regularly watch the show here can, poke me in the comments if I'm wrong because I'm not a military guy. I've had people in my family serve in the military in the Defense Department. I personally was not permitted due to medical conditions. So I don't know. Lacrosse, not Lafayette. Lacrosse is what we're looking for. Lacrosse 6x6 with the missile there. So again, it looks awful. The reason I say it looks like a Nike launcher is because there's a bunch of those Nike launchers around Northeast Ohio. And they've made, parks and museums out of them. Now they're not functional anymore. And one of them still has the fake missile sitting outside of it, and that's what it looks like. So that's what I assume it is. If it's not, guys, again, correct me because I don't know. I'm just mentioning it because it's 1/32 scale, so it's a big scale. It'll go with, a 1/32 scale, period jet or something like that. And, most of the military stuff obviously is 1/35 or 1/48 when it comes to land vehicles, so it's a bigger kit, and why it's in skill level 5 because there's a lot of parts on a 1/32 scale thing. That's one of those old Renewal Blueprint series kits, in case you couldn't read the logo. And then, of course, our one kit this week that's actually came out. Again, we normally don't cover F1. We really normally don't cover large scale at all, but this is the only kit that came out this week, and a few things about this that make it worth mentioning. This, of course, the 1/12 scale Tyrrell Double 3, driven by Jackie Stewart in the 1971 Grand Prix of Monaco. Now, this is an old kit. It's older than I am. It's like mid-70s. And what they've done is tooled up some new parts to it to make it specific to this race. You can't really tell because you got this top profile thing going on here, but the underside of the front spoiler, front wing, whatever you want to call it there, is convex and looks very much like a hammerhead shark's nose, and this is, of course, the hammerhead wing up front there. So that wing is all new. The engine intakes behind the wing and behind the engine, or behind the behind the wheels in front of the driver. The brake ducting, I guess, not really an engine intake. Those are going to be new. The rear wing is going to be new, and also there's going to be new valve covers on the engine that are new, that are pre-drilled for the wiring. Apparently the original one was not, and these ones are now pre-drilled for the wiring. You do get a full complement of hoses and wiring so that you can wire the engine, plumb the engine, fuel lines, and all that nonsense. There's a photo etch set fret involved in this, included in this as well. There has been for the last several reissues of this kit. I don't believe the original 1970s one had photo etch, but I believe that this is, the photo etch in here has been cleaned up a little bit. There's some metal parts to make like the wing mirror stands. Those are tiny metal parts rather than plastic. As well as you're getting a new decal sheet here from Cartograph that is specific to the 1971 race itself. So, guys, it is what it is. I'm not unhappy with the Revell stuff. And if you get me the right stuff, I'm very happy with the Revell stuff. Like I said, if you get me some real model kits there out of those two modern day cars and I can actually build them without those ridiculous hoods that are attached to them, then I'll be buying one of each, and I'll end up with 4 things off that list instead of just one or two. So It's one of those things where I don't want to be uber critical of Revell up front without knowing everything about the kits, but just, the way they're being presented, I don't understand the concept behind that. If we're trying to draw kids into the hobby, which is what we're doing with these kits, I don't know what kids you're drawing in exactly, because cars like that exist only in the fabrication of like goofy teenagers who who don't have enough money. I bet you right now that 2014 Mustang GT can really be a 1-1 of some rich kid in, I don't know, suburban Chicago who, parents bought him a new car for high school. He's got his, part-time gig while he's going to college, and he bought a fiberglass cowl induction hood and some goofy big-ass wheels, and that's how he's modded his Mustang. I guarantee you, that car could be a 1-1 car for a lot of young kids who don't know any better. But as far as, coming towards the serious hobbyist, which, skill level 4 is a glue kit, we're going towards the adult modeler here. The adult modeler is not impressed. Anyway, guys, next week we should have a whole bunch of kit reissues. All of Fujimi stuff is supposed to drop either today or Monday, and so it'll all be next week. And the Hasegawa's vintage rally kits, and you got some new Aoshima kits from the Tokyo Hobby Show that are supposed to come out at the end of the month here, and of course the domestic stuff as well. So next 2 weeks should be pretty active here on the kit releases. This was your kit information week. Also, before we go, Revell of Germany held a press conference, I believe this morning, announcing their first quarter of 2016 stuff as well. And this is all just sort of filler reissue stuff. They're going to be doing the Porsche Boxster kit, the Snap-Tie kit as a reissue. They're also going to be doing the 2CV, Citroen 2CV, and the Volkswagen Samba bus with different decal sets. I'm not totally clear on to what the Citroen is supposed to be. It's like some sort of like Rapid Duck or something like that. It's a painted green and black, looks like a mallard duck. I guess that's the shtick to it. I'd have to go research it to see if there's something to it actually. And then the VW Samba bus is going to have Lufthansa logos and paint scheme to it. So I mean, it's cute in a period German collectible sort of way, but the kit is just going to be a reissue of the existing Samba bus that came out in 2005, I guess that was. There's not a bad kit by a stretch of the imagination. Don't think I'm downplaying either of those kits, because the Citroen's really nice too. It's just it's not anything that's new. They're also doing a 1/32 scale Ferrari F40. I'm not really sure where that came from. If that's a borrowed tool that I'm not sure, that I've never seen before, or they're actually making a new Snap-Tie tool, because they're apparently going to be making a very large push. Revell of Germany is back into plastic models as a whole. Their RC division is doing a lot of business, especially in Europe. But their kit sales have been kind of flat. They've only been really good in France. Go figure, a lot of French cars. And it will be interesting to see what their 2016 overall scheme of things is going to look like based on this new, refoundation and plastic model thing that they're trying to do over there. We'll find all that stuff New Year's Eve, because Revell of Germany announces their 2016 new tools and entire 2016 plans, unless they change stuff up like Hobbico owns them now, or changes stuff up. Because Hobbico owns them, to be like Revell of USA is what I meant to say, to be like quarterly. Traditionally speaking, at 12:01 local time in Germany, which is like 7 o'clock here on New Year's Eve, they announce what their stuff is. So New Year's Day hits and they do the release. And we usually get it, like I said, the night before, technically, because of the time difference. So really interested to see what that's going to be, because the rumors that I've heard is that there's going to be some sort of British manufacturer, so think Jag, McLaren, Aston Martin, something like that, supercar. And if the kit pans out, there could be follow-on kits from the same manufacturer. So what it is, I really honestly couldn't tell you. I have my suspicions. I have my firm beliefs, but again, I couldn't tell you if I wanted to. You just have to wait till New Year's Day. So it should be an interesting, could be a very interesting year from 2016 from Aoshima, especially, and from Revell of Germany. So hold on to your wallets, folks. It ain't getting any better for you if you buy a lot of model kits like a lot of us do. So anyway, guys, we're running close to 40 minutes. This was going to be a quick show, and then I went off on a tangent. So anyway, we'll see you guys on the other side.